Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote, the weekly show where we introduce you to content creators of all shapes and sizes that join us from any and all corners of the nerd universe. We find out more about them and take your questions. I am your host, Ryan of Nerd Culture, and our guest on this episode of And I Quote is comic book creator Brandon Starocci. Brandon, welcome into the program. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Thank you so much for being here, Brandon. Now, if you have any questions for Brandon as we go throughout the course of this show, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Our producer is going to be monitoring it as we go throughout the course of the show. Also, if this is your first time here, welcome. Welcome. Thank you for being here. And don't forget to like and share this video with all of your closest friends because they're going to like the way they look after watching or listening to this episode of And I Quote. I guarantee it. That being said, Brandon, how were you specifically introduced to the world of comics?
How I was introduced to comics really was it was The Walking Dead. I was a big fan of the show. About 3 seasons into the show is when I kind of figured out that it was a comic book. And then I really started reading those. And then I really started loving The Walking Dead comic book. Then I really figured out that I just liked comic books. So then after that point, I started going to my local comic shop and just grabbing a bunch of different things, like your Batmans and all that stuff, and the Deadpools, Wolverines, and all that. I just started grabbing a bunch of those when I could, and then I really started loving comics more and more as I actually started writing Avalon. As I started writing it, I kind of gained a respect for the comic world even more. So, and that's when I really started loving comics even more.
Oh, rock on, man. Rock on. Any favorite comic book writers or artists that stand out to you, past or present?
It would not to kind of sound like cliche here, but it would probably be Robert Kirkman and Charlie Adler for the, writing and artist kind of duo. I've really enjoyed Charlie Adler's art style and just the way he did the black and white. And it was just it had that awesome, kind of gritty comic book look to me. And then the way Robert Kirkman told The Walking Dead, it was obviously you could see where the show got the source material, but then the way he told it was a lot different as well. And I really fell in love with just the way he told his story. And obviously with his other comic books as well, like Invincible and all that is same thing. It's he just has I would say I'm pretty similar in the way that he kind of writes. I enjoy that kind of writing. I enjoy that kind of the way he fleshes out the world and his characters a lot. I enjoy it a lot.
Sensing a pattern here. Walking Dead here, Walking Dead there. Sounds like you have a thing for zombies.
Yeah, I would say so, huh?
Maybe zombie hunting. I'm not really sure. But do you have any favorite comic book based movies or TV series, past or present, that stand out to you that don't start and end with zombies?
Other than the big Marvel DCs, this is one that kind of like a curveball too. I guess the 30 Days of Night kind of comic book graphic novel too. That one I really enjoyed reading as well. And that was another one where I didn't know until after I watched the movie. I didn't know it was a comic. And then I started hearing it was a comic. I was like, okay, I got to see what this is about. And then I got that one as well. And I actually liked their adaptation of in the comics. And then obviously the adaptation to the movie. I liked the movie a lot. That has a lot of inspiration. I take a lot of inspiration from that to put into my projects, but the comic itself as well. I kind of like the dark and gritty kind of comic books and all that stuff. It just kind of try to base it in reality as much as possible. I would say that one.
Oh, I understand. Yes, I have seen the movie 30 Days a Night. I actually saw it in theaters. Very creepy.
I cannot remember.
Very creepy. Kept me on the edge of my seat. It was very dark, very daunting. But you know what? It was good. It was good. I'm thinking to myself, this is how certain creatures of the night, vampires, should be treated. Not something else. Just they're evil. They're sick. They're twisted. They have a thirst for blood. They will do whatever it takes to get the job done. And who was it? I believe it was Josh Hartnett and Melissa George, I believe, were the two leads of that film. Nice work for Josh Hartnett, because Josh Hartnett, when some of you may think of Josh Hartnett, you think, oh, he's just a teen heartthrob. No. He actually does have good dramatic chops.
He does, and but way back then when he kind of came out with that movie as well, is when I really started liking him as an actor. And then I watched a bunch of movies. I mean, I can't name them off the top of my head right now, unfortunately. But him as an actor and him in that show, in that movie, I mean, really good acting in that. He was in that one show too. What was that show called? It had like 5 seasons. I cannot remember what it was called. It was kind of vampire-like. But I watched like a couple seasons of that with my dad, and he another thing did very well in it. I cannot think of the name of that show though.
What was it? Penny Dreadful?
Yep, Penny Dreadful. Yep, that's what it was. Yeah, I couldn't get into the show too much, but him as the actor in that show as well. I do like him as an actor a lot, and as he kind of got older and putting himself in those roles as well, and it honestly makes you think like what he would do as the Christopher Nolan Batman, if he didn't say no to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's always the question of what could have been. What if this had happened? I'm not sure. Brad Gore chimes in. He says, "Hi, Brad Gore. Good to see you, Brad. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions for Brandon, let us know in the chat. Be happy to hear from you as well as anyone else who may be tuning in just now. Thank you for being here. I will say that there was a sequel to 30 Days of Night, but I haven't seen it yet. But I know it stars Kelly Sanchez as Melissa. She takes over for Melissa George's character because in the sequel, they recast a bunch of people, or I think it was just her that they recast. I can't remember. But I look forward to seeing part 2. I can't remember I know it has a subtitle. I just can't remember what it was. But I'm curious to see it though, because I do like Kelly Sanchez, because a lot of people know her best from her appearances on Lost on ABC. She was also in a hit dramedy series known as The Glades with Matt Passmore that was on A&E some years back.
I haven't watched that either. I'm not opposed to watching it. I don't think I heard good results.
Yeah, it got panned, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think it was direct to video too. I don't even think it was in theaters.
Yeah, I think it was a direct to video movie, and I can't remember if I didn't end up hearing good things about it. I'm not opposed to watching it because I like the series, the kind of whole deal that they got going on, and I also like that kind of stuff as well. So I'm definitely willing to give that a shot, and I do want to give that a shot as well.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's really good stuff. Yeah, we'll have to, as soon as I get a chance to sit down and watch it, I'll be sure to let you know, Brandon, as well as those of you who may be wondering. I'll give you a heads up.
Right.
We can talk more about that later. Yeah, Josh Hartnett. I mean, he also did yes, it was a romantic film, but at the same time, it was more dramatic than anything else. It was called Wicker Park. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but that was when he was in love with one woman, but then he ended up getting seduced by another. So it was kind of a bit of a topsy-turvy thriller-ish love triangle.
Wasn't he real young in that one?
No, this was after, I think this was either before or after 30 Days a Night when he was a little older. It starred him, I believe it was Diane Kruger, and I think Rose Byrne was the seductress, like the third wheel.
Right.
The whole thing, if I remember correctly. If I'm wrong about that particular part of the casting, let me know in the comments, or let me know in the chat. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts, but yeah, that was a good dramatic role for him too. I like that movie. I know it didn't get a lot of love at the box office, didn't get a lot of faith or likeness on Rotten Tomatoes, because most of the time Rotten Tomatoes is wrong, but it happens. By the way, Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt is here. He says hello. He says, "Hey Ryan and Brandon, what's up, Pops Van Zandt? How you doing, buddy? How you been, man? Good to see you. It's been a while since you and I have talked, Pops. Hope everything is well in your neck of the woods, respectively. So for you, Brandon, when did you decide to become a comic book creator?
Actually, a couple years ago. So the idea of Avalon happened way back when I was in high school, like 8 years ago by now, I guess. I can't do fast math on the top of my head. But the idea was back in high school, and the original idea was supposed to be a movie. I wanted the whole idea where I was like, okay, I want to be a movie director. I want to do movies and all that, because I was obsessed with film growing up. But then I didn't know what to do with it. I wasn't educated enough, so I had no clue what to do. So I kind of just not scrapped it. I just kind of put it away. And then fast forward a few years, I meet Alan, and I pitched the idea to him. He likes it a lot. And we were going to write it as a novel. And then I realized that I don't like reading novels, so why would I make a novel? And then I had a Walking Dead comic book on my desk at the time too, and I told him, I said, why don't we just make it a comic book? And he thought it was a good idea, so we just kept moving with it. And that was kind of like the quick story of why we got into comic books. It was kind of just like by chance almost.
My goodness gracious. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Once again, we are talking with Brandon Starocci here on this episode of Van Dyke Quo, comic book creator. Let us know if you have any comments or questions for him in the chat. Thank you very much for being here with us, Brandon. Don't forget to like and share this video with all of your closest friends. Now, we have the image here up on screen for those who may be listening on the audio feed. We're looking at the cover of Avalon. What exactly is Avalon all about?
Okay, so Avalon, what you got up right here is issue 1. The Avalon is a post-apocalyptic comic book that has a little bit of something for everybody. That's kind of one of the things that we kind of push for everybody to hear because it's true. There's you follow this family that you see up on the screen right there, the Castle family. You got 3 brothers, mom and dad, and then Andy, which is the top one, his partner to, I don't know, his left or his right is Miller. They're 2 separate stories that we tell in the first couple issues, and you kind of figure out what's going on with this family, because before the apocalypse even happens, they have some drama, they have some problems, they have people. Andy hasn't been around for a little while. You find that out pretty early, and it's kind of like a family issues, real life family issues, and Andy hasn't been around, so you kind of see how the way we tell it is parallel with each other. You see how Andy has his own stuff going on. He has a bunch of problems in his own realm, and then his family on the other half here, that they have their own problems, their family problems and all that stuff, and they're kind of trying to survive, just in the normal world, and then the apocalypse hits. So now you got to force them to kind of settle their differences quick, and then kind of figure that all out in the meantime as well. So we decided to do the beginning stages of an apocalypse. I always found that to be the fun part of the zombie genre, is really seeing the outbreak and all that stuff. So that you'll get that in the beginning issues there. There's kind of a lot to kind of break down with each character. They all have their problems. They all have their differences. And the world itself, a big thing that we focus on as well with Avalon, is the world itself is the main character. There's no specific character that you're going to follow and go, okay, that's the Rick, or that's the main protagonist of the show. The world is going to be dictating all of that. And that was our biggest, I think, change that we took ourselves out of every other project in the genre, making the world make the decisions and not so much the characters, not a hero's journey, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, this sounds like a very intriguing story, and congratulations to you and your creative team on putting this together. I like the cover, a bit mysterious. A lot of people have serious looks on their faces, like they're, something serious is going down, like their life depends on it. We got to get through this together, whether we like it or not. So it sounds like a really cool kind of survival type story.
Yeah, thank you. It definitely is, and that's one of the big things that we're going to be focused on. We're trying to. One of the things that Alan and I kind of got together with, and when we watch zombie movies, they touch stuff on real life physical issues. They touch stuff on mental illnesses, but they kind of push it off to the side a lot. With Avalon, we're going to be getting a lot of mental health issues. And that's going to be a focus point of the storytelling. And the same thing with the physical illnesses and injuries and all that stuff. But that's going to be told within the story as well. And it's going to stay in the story. It's not going to be something where something happens to a character and that's it, and then he kind of gets shoved off to the side and to the corner because it was just something that made sense at the moment. It's something that the story flow of this whole series is going to be coming time and time again. It's always going to be there. And like I mentioned just a little bit ago as well, mental illness, mental health and all that stuff too is a big factor for actually a couple of these characters that you meet in issue 1. So we're going to be playing along with a lot of that as well. And we're really excited to actually show everybody what the problems were beforehand, because I think that's where the big meat and the potatoes are, because the apocalypse is just here. It happens. Now it forces this family to kind of come together and deal with their problems. But we're really focused on this development of this family and learning about them as much as possible.
That sounds excellent. And another thing I admire about what you said is that mental health is discussed, it's addressed within these stories, because these characters struggle with that. And here's something that we have learned. If there's anything we've learned in the last number of years, pre and still somewhat, if not post-pandemic, is that mental health is so important for every individual out there. It is so crucial to have a open forum type discussion and destigmatize it and say to people, hey, it's okay to not be okay. If you're struggling with something, there are resources out there for you, and there are ways to address it.
Sure. Yeah.
Because mental health, depending on who you speak to, it is a very touchy-feely subject, as it should be. But at the same time, if you want to discuss it or incorporate it into a story without beating you over the head with it and just saying, hey, this character is struggling, but they're going to find a way to, hopefully, depending on how the story progresses, move through this obstacle, overcome this challenge and get to the other side. In other words, it kind of, and on the cover that we saw just a moment ago for Avalon, there's someone standing in a doorway in a shadow. There's a bit of light being placed through. It's almost like saying it's dark now, but it's darkest just before the dawn. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. You see what I'm saying? So I really respect what you're doing, and I wish you and your creative team over there the very best, because mental health is something that truly needs to be destigmatized and discussed more so in an open forum. Wouldn't you agree?
No, I definitely agree, and I think especially obviously we were doing the writing stages before COVID, but I think COVID had a big, or it allowed people to actually think, and it allowed people to actually believe, like, okay, this actually is real. That a lot of people are dealing with this stuff, because at that point, a lot of people had to end up dealing with it themselves. Because it was easy to kind of manage that from the outside looking in, but now everybody's kind of in there. Everybody's kind of dealing with it in their own way, and that kind of helped us in a way where it's like, for people to understand a little better, for the writing process, I guess, for us, for these characters to kind of go through these problems and have these mental health problems beforehand, and then hitting this apocalypse and then moving on. A lot of people, I believe, after, COVID and all that stuff, people are going to be able to relate. People are going to be able to understand a little more as well. And it makes sense to them as we tell the story and go on. And as you see some of these characters make some decisions or feel certain ways that they feel, it's going to, I think a big thing is a lot of people are going to be able to relate, like I just said. And that's the biggest impact, and allowing people to, like you mentioned as well, that it is going to be okay. I mean, and obviously in some cases it might not because of the mental health, but like because the way the apocalypse works. But at the end of the day, shining the light on it, because it is there. A lot of people do deal with it more now than ever. Let's get this out there and all that stuff as well. And that's a big thing for Avalon that we're in the Avalon story that we're going to be moving forward with.
Absolutely. And once again, we are talking with comic book creator Brandon Starocci here on this episode of And I Quote. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for being here. Let us know if you have any questions for Brandon as we go throughout the course of the show. Whether you're watching this live or on the replay, thank you. Don't forget to like and share this video with all of your closest friends. And thank you so much for sharing that with us here, Brandon. I know I could push this to the side, but I'm going to address this now. What is the plan for Avalon moving forward? Do you know how many issues it's going to be? Are you just kind of playing it by ear to see what the response is from the audience?
So I have in my head how I kind of want to end this series. And what I found out from the original draft of issue 1 is, because when we were originally going to drop that issue 1, I was like, we ended up taking it back and going like, whoa, this isn't done yet. So, and we did the rewrite. So we ended up getting that original issue 1 draft and stretched it out to like 3 issues. And then after that process, I kind of understand, like, okay, then we can really flesh some of this out and really let things breathe, and some, have your action scenes, have your fun scenes, but also allow things to breathe when it needs to breathe. And I learned that from that first draft of issue 1. So with that being said as well, I have a pretty good understanding of how I want to end this series, but the end is far in the future. I have probably, and when I say arc, I'm saying like a whole volume. I have like probably like 4, 5, 6 arcs on the top of my head right now that I want to like accomplish before I even plan on ending it right now. And I'm doing about 6 issues volume as well. So that gives you 5, 6 volumes before I even think about planning for like writing in the end and trying to figure that out. So we still got a long way ahead of us.
All right. Avalon, the series continues, folks. Buckle up. It's going to be one heck of a ride. I will say that myself. But with that being said, what would you say are some of the biggest rewards about being a comic book creator? What do you think? Just getting it done. And one of the early rewards that I felt immediately was getting the comic in a physical form. When you do all the writing, when you have it all done, you go through you got to make sure everything's perfect for your own sake, send it to the artist does it. When he sends it digitally, great, it's awesome. But then when you send it out to get printed and you get it in your hands, it's like a whole different feeling where you're like, wow, this is real, this is happening. And then right after that, you get to have those events, you get to have those book signings, you get to go to events and meet people and show this off and have people, give you good feedback. That's another great thing to feel through this whole process, to almost reassure the point where it's like, okay, what I got going on here, what the Avalon team has going on right here is working. People are liking it, people are enjoying it. People want more of it. And I would say, with that being said, the most rewarding part of this whole thing is seeing or listening to people's feedback. What do they think about it? Just to have feedback in general, good or bad.
great. I like that, to have people talk about it, because then it gives me more room to talk about it, because obviously this is on my brain 24/7. There's nothing I can do about it. But to have somebody come up to me and be like, okay, let's talk about this. What do you got? Like what happened here and all that's probably one of the most rewarding parts for me. And a long answer.
No, it's all good. It's all good. There you go. On the flip side of the coin, though, what do you think are the biggest challenges about being a comic book creator?
Just really, I guess for the writing, I could speak for the writing aspect of it, is just really trying to see. I mean, because I see the panels in my head, but obviously I'm not the artist. I have it all written down. I write down what a basic understanding. It's just really trying to see it in your head and trying to put it on a white piece of paper. That I would say, and not that it's like back-raking and you're gonna like die over it, but like it's definitely probably, in my opinion, one of the hardest things to learn. And then when I learned it, it got easier over time, and it is getting easier over time, but it's still probably one of the hardest things right now for me. And not to say that's for everybody. And then one thing, fortunately, that I didn't have to deal with, that I've spoken to other comic book creators as well, is keeping an artist, and keeping the artist interested in all that stuff as well. This is just from me hearing from other people's experience, and we've been very fortunate to have Demetrius along for the ride. He's in love with the story. He's in love with the whole thing, and we have a great relationship now over the time that we've worked together. And we're very, very fortunate to have Demetrius and the art style that he brings to Avalon and makes this come to life.
I see what you mean. Well, rock on. Yep, things can be a bit challenging, but trying to keep an artist, trying to keep a writer, things keep changing. Creative talents come in and out, and that's been happening for years on certain iterations of certain comic book characters, whether they be independent or not. So I can see where you're coming from that. Do you have any special memories so far of meeting people at comic book events or conventions, or hearing from people through social media that stand out to you?
A bunch of people, a bunch of different people would reach out. They actually, one that's specific to me. Can't remember his last name, but I'll say his first name. This gentleman from the UK actually reached out to me a couple times. His name is Colin. He reached out to me. He saw the first Kickstarter, but then I was only shipping it out into the US and all that stuff, obviously for shipping reasons. And then he reached out to me. I sent him the PDF and all that. I sent him PDF of 2. He really loved it. He really enjoyed it. He found a way to buy it. He bought it off our store, our Shopify store. And, that's one of those things too. It's like to have somebody out there. I was just talking about this today with my wife as well. To have somebody out in the UK like that, it's just a cool thing, and to hear good positive feedback from him as well was really nice to hear. And just to add on to that as well, just to hear things, I've had, I was just talking to a couple of people today on Twitter, and they said they really, really enjoyed it. And the first, I sent them, I think, the first 2 issues, because 3 comes out officially the 28th of this month. So I sent them the first 2 issues, and they really liked it. And that was it's always nice to hear somebody that really enjoys what we're doing here. And we the whole team we're grinding, we're going to work, we're trying to figure this out, trying to perfect it as much as we can. And then when it pays off like that, it's always a good thing.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Congratulations on that, man. The newest one coming very soon here in the next, you said the 28th, a couple of weeks or so, a couple of days from now, isn't it?
Yeah, this weekend. Yep.
Jeez, man, things are coming sooner than we think. It's a new year and endless possibilibilities, right? Sky's the limit.
Exactly.
In some way, shape, or form here in this new year of 2023. And by the way, Happy New Year to you, for those of you who are just tuning. Yes, to you, and for those of you who are just tuning in as well, because it is a new year, folks. Let's get with it. I'm just saying. What is the best and worst piece of advice you've ever been given?
Well, the best advice I would say is just literally just keep going, and Alan, is kind of like always like lifting me up when I thought things are like, okay, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what we're going to do. But Alan, his biggest thing of advice for me was just to literally just keep going. At the end of the day, this is what you got. This is what you're going to do. Just keep doing it. And it's like that Nike slogan, that just do it kind of mentality, and I think just keep grinding through it. If this is something that you love, and if this is something that you want to do, just keep going for it, and, find a way, and that's the best advice I've been given, for the whole comic kind of deal. I can't think off the top of my head any like the worst advice I've ever gotten on this thing. I wish I had something. Stop. I don't know. Maybe somebody told me to stop and I just kind of disregarded it. I don't know. I don't know if I've had really terrible advice through this whole thing. You know, a lot of people that I've been working with or been asking like serious questions about the thing have been very welcoming and very helpful for me, you know, because I'm relatively new to this whole kind of business as well, kind of getting into it. So everybody I've been talking to and trying to pick up some pointers from as well, they've all been very understanding and helpful for me, you know, and I definitely, you know, thank them for this whole process, this whole journey so far to keep it allows it for this to keep going and me keep making these and all that.
Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Well, good stuff. No problem there. Absolutely. Now, for those of you maybe wondering, I'm just curious. Outside of the best and worst piece of advice you've ever given, for independent writers or independent artists who are trying to put together a story, they come together, they have an idea, they put pieces on the board, trying to see what pieces fit and what don't fit. If they want to put together something known as a Kickstarter, what advice would you give people who are trying to put together a Kickstarter?
If they're trying to put a Kickstarter up, just what we kind of did for the first one, at least, I guess before I even start this is we're still trying to learn of new ways and better ways to kind of, you know, grow. Cause each Kickstarter we did right now, we tried something a little bit different to see what would kind of catch, but just kind of see what's working, you know, check Kickstarter out. There's millions of projects on there. See what's working. You know, if you're doing a comic book, for instance, and look up other comic books, see what they got, see what they're kind of doing and all that stuff. See what things they're revealing, you know, see what kind of packages they're doing and pledges, rewards they're doing as well. Just don't be selfish. Don't just kind of like see what people are doing. You know, if something's working, just try it, you know, and then obviously do it in your own way in your own project as well, but kind of see what's working in all that way. Just do your research, I guess. It's not too hard, you know, and just see what other people are doing. Just research it.
In other words, look before you leap.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Look before you leave. Once again, we are talking with Brandon Starocci, a comic book creator here on this episode of And I Quote. If this is your first time here, welcome. Don't forget to like and share this video or this episode with all of your closest friends. If you have any questions for Brandon, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, thank you for being here. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. In the meantime, I want to let you know that this episode and every episode of And I Quote is indeed powered by our good friends over here at Poddex. Now, Poddex are the hottest new tool for podcasters looking to have more meaningful conversations or simply gamify their podcast. Simply shuffle up the cards, you ask a question, and guess what? You let the content roll. Get yours today at poddex.com. Make sure you use the promo code Ryan10. That's RYAN10, Ryan10 for 10% off your order. You're not going to want to miss out on that opportunity. First things first here, powered by Poddex here for you, Brandon. What do you feel people complain too much about these days?
Money.
There you go.
I feel like that's a nice, easy one, though. You know, everybody's complaining about money. You know, I mean, I am, you know, but a lot of people are complaining about it.
I gotcha. No worries there. Did you have a favorite teacher or a teacher who made a big impact on your life?
I mean, apparently not. I can't think of anybody. No, I mean, like I've had great teachers, you know, and all that stuff. I think when I was in school, I just wanted out of school, you know, and now when I'm out of school, I want to go back to school. And it's one of those kind of deals where, but I've definitely had great teachers.
Just can't remember any of them.
None that stick out right now. The names aren't sticking out to me, I guess. You know, I can see their faces. I just can't.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It kind of reminds me when we had to go to school and read books that we had to read. I didn't like those. When I read on my own and I read something that I enjoy, it makes it easier.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly it. And you know, I have that learning mentality now, though, and you know, at an older age and being at a high school too, or just school in general. So that's like to be out now. I want to be in now. I want to learn things. I want to know things. You know, but at the time, I just wanted out. I didn't care.
Gotcha. What's the strangest thing you've ever seen in the middle of the road?
There was a gentleman one time. This is years ago. He was bloody, and he had a hospital gown on, and he ran across the street, and yeah. Wow. That was it. I didn't know. Nobody was chasing him. I don't know. He had like blood, like just not like he like blood everywhere. Like like you could just tell there's like dripping, you know. And then he had a hospital gown on, and he ran across the street. It was very strange.
Just ran off. Just ran off. Okay. Whew. That sounds like a horror film waiting to
I
happen.
know, that's what I'm saying. Like that sounds like the beginning of the apocalypse right there.
Something like that, or maybe the beginning of a horrible Lifetime movie.
Right.
I don't know. Has anyone seen a Lifetime movie these days? Gee whiz, that acting. What are they doing back? Most of the acting, anyways. I'm thinking to myself, why would people sign on for these? I don't get it. It's just, hey, but you know, it kind of brings up the whole thing we brought up. Everyone complains about money. Well, they need a paycheck, so actors take what they can get.
Right, exactly. And that, yeah, that's just like a whole nother.
No. I know it's a whole other tangent we don't have time for on this particular broadcast. But what I can tell you is that our good friends here at Poddex want to know, where do you go when you need to blow off some steam?
You know, a good car ride does it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometime when you need to blow off steam, you need to do something, just, you know, just go sit in your car, just go on a drive, you know, listen to some music or something, just drive. You know, I feel like that's always been like an easy go-to, you know, a consistent go-to. Whenever you got to do something, you just, hey, go in the car and drive.
Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Meditating, yeah.
I've taken my fair share of car rides when things don't go right or I'm having a bit of a bad day.
Right, exactly.
Nothing wrong with that. What is the one thing you'll be really disappointed if you never get to experience it?
Probably directing a film. You know, that's obviously been a goal of mine since I was in high school, and it you know, it's always been there. You know, I kind of put it later on in my life. You know, that is still a goal of mine, is to someday, you know, direct a film as well. You know, I did a small little thing with a commercial for Avalon, and that was the closest thing I've ever gotten to it, and that was fun. You know, and that was just a small, way smaller thing, and to be able to do that in the future, you know, if I don't ever get to experience that, I'd be really, really disappointed in that.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with that. Hope that dream of yours comes true to direct something. So there you go.
Me
You
too.
never know what's going to happen. Brad Gore chimes in. He says, for me, if I need to do something to blow off steam, Christmas music and hot cocoa.
Yeah, that does it, even in the summertime, right?
Gee whiz. Well, are you a believer in Christmas in July?
No,
I was going to say Christmas is at Christmas time. I don't know if I need to celebrate it twice a year, but then again, hey, some people do, and hey, that's up to you. I will leave that up to you. I'm not starting a debate. I'm not going to do that. But Christmas music and hot cocoa there for you specifically, Brad Gore. Nice going, man. 2 thumbs up. Nothing wrong with it. Few good tunes here and there. I don't know if I would choose Christmas music necessarily, but hey, hot cocoa, you know, that might be good. I don't know. Who knows, right? Anything is possible, folks. Anything is possible. But I do want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Brandon Starocci for being our guest on this particular episode of And I Quote. Brandon, thank you so much for being here. The person who's watching or listening to this, where can they follow you on social media to keep up with your projects? What do you got?
If you want to look for us, you want to find us, we're literally on every social media outlet right now, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon, YouTube even. If you find any of those, you'll find a link tree that's tagged to it as well. And if you want to find us everywhere else, then that's how you do it. You just hit the link tree. One of the most important things to do if you want to get the comic as well, go to our Shopify store. It'll be www.myshopify.avaloncomic.com. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's on the link tree. I just flew right out of my brain there. But if you want to buy it, go to our Shopify store, Avalon Comic. It's on the link tree and every social media platform. That's how you can get a hold of us. If you want to talk to us, if you want to message us, we're really active. If anybody has any questions, definitely ask us.
Rock on. Thank you so much for being here, Brandon. My name is Ryan of Neuroculture. The links to where you can follow Brandon and myself and all the other things we got going on here at this channel, as well as what Brandon is up to, are located within the description of this video. It's also located in the description of the episodes on our audio feed, which are located in my link tree, which you can find in the video description below. Once again, my name is Ryan of Neuroculture. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. It's all one word. It's right there. Definitely check out all the other shows we're doing. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, smash that notification bell so you get notified when our new videos go up. By the way, we are this close to hitting 1,000 subscribers at Neuroculture channel. So make sure you tell all your friends about us, tell your neighbors, tell your coworkers about us. If they're looking for some good styling and profile and nerdy content, they got to check us out. You know what I'm saying? And also, Nerd Culture is going on tour this year at Comic Cons. Our first stop on the 2023 tour is going to be at the Farpoint Convention, held in Hunt Valley, Maryland, which is going to be on February 10th through the 12th. Make sure you're following them on social media at Farpoint Con or Farpoint Convention. Check them out online. Get your tickets. Join us. They got some of the voice actors from Rocko's Modern Life. Some of the voice actors of Star Trek Prodigy are going to be in the building that weekend at Farpoint Convention, February 10th through the 12th in Hunt Valley, Maryland. Please come by, join us, say hi. We'll take pictures. I'll sign autographs if you want them. Don't get me wrong, it's all free. We're not going to charge you a dime. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. But join us, nerd out with us. Talk to us about some of the things that you enjoy. We would love to hear about it. I'm serious. I'm telling you. Other than that, stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe. And remember, life is better when reading. Take a look.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Sweet dreams they placed on me inside my mind. Chance my truth, twist the past, my memories are fading fast. Am I still missed? Who do you want me to be? Am I still missed?
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Good morning! Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.